So basically listening and communication is made up of micro-counselling skills. So drilling down, we'll play another game in a minute, but before we do that, attending, listening, empathy, questioning, paraphrasing, summarising, and reflecting content and emotions. That's basically how we communicate, yeah? So attending means body language, tone of voice, being present. Being present, looking at the other person, making eye contact. You can't communicate if you're not attending. 2 is active listening skills, like we said. The brain and the ears working in tandem. Empathy. Can someone tell me what empathy means? What does empathy mean?
Understanding the other person's emotions.
How does it differ to sympathy?
It's a more sorry feeling.
Yeah. So sympathy is feeling sorry for someone. Sympathy is my condolences, like at a funeral, yeah? So I feel sorry for you. Can you see that's very different? So sympathy is when you feel sorry for someone. Normally it would be something bad's happened, something really difficult's happened in their life, and you're saying, I'm really sorry that you've gone through that. Empathy is not that. That doesn't, sympathy doesn't promote discussion. Empathy, 100%, is being able to put yourself in the other person's shoes. In psychology, they would say it's being able to identify with the other person's experience as if you were the other person. But the as if is important because you're not the other person. Does that make sense what I just said? So being able to identify with what the other person's going through as if you were that person allows me to have empathy. But the reason I like that is because as if means I'm not that person though. Step away when you need to. Because that's why, you know, when you're with someone that tells you a sad story, you start crying. That's becoming too emotionally involved. So I show empathy as if I'm going through that, but I'm not going through that. Don't forget that. As a leader, you need to be able to separate yourself from that. It doesn't mean that you're an empathetic person, a very caring person, if you're crying whenever somebody else cries. That just means you're emotional, and probably that means you're too emotionally attached. So as a leader, we need to be able to remember, as if you're the other person, being able to experience what they're going through. And empathy is a really important skill. Empathy only requires sometimes just to be there. People ask me all the time, so Tanya, people say, how do you show empathy? I understand what you're going through. I can imagine what you're going through. You need to be really careful because the mother that's just lost her child being told, I know what you're going through, is not going to respond in a really positive way when she says, how do you know? Has it happened to you? Do you see what I'm trying to say? You've got to be really careful with how you use those words. I know what you're going through. Do you? Have you been through it? So what's a more positive empathy statement?
I can understand.
I can only imagine how you feel. I can understand. Yeah, not I know how you feel, because you don't know how I feel. You haven't been through it. I've found the best empathy statements are often silence, just being there for the person, being next to them, just listening. I actually think that's the best thing to do. You just sit with someone and you're just listening to them. Just let them vent, let them get whatever they need to get out. That's probably the best way to show empathy without having pressure of what to say. Yeah?
But empathy can also, you can also empathise with positive experiences.
100%.
Excitement.
Yeah. Empathy is being able to, as I said, being able to experience what the other person's experiencing. Look, generally we do talk about it, you're right, in a way of a difficult experience, but it could also be a positive experience. Yeah? Questioning skills, so being able to ask open and closed questions, curiosity. Paraphrasing. Paraphrasing means in your own words, reflecting back what the person said. And the reason I say in your own words is because, you know that game that little kids play when they follow you around the house repeating everything you say? It can be really annoying, yeah? You've all had that experience? Kids just, I don't know why they all do it. Like kids just follow you around the house and you say something, yeah. But it's like mocking. It's like mocking in a way. So paraphrasing means, there's a couple of ways to start a paraphrase. It's really simple. Just to make sure I've understood, blah, 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 blah. In other words, blah, blah, blah. Does that make sense? There's about 3 or 4 ways you could make it easy for yourselves. In other words, just to make sure I've understood, just to clarify, There are ways that, and then in your own words, repeat back. Summarizing, how is that different to paraphrasing?
You're summarising what they've said.
Yes, yeah. It doesn't have to be paraphrasing using any of the words that they used. It's summarizing the whole thing. And then something that maybe you may not be aware of because it's a more complex micro-counselling skill, reflecting content and meaning. What that means is deeper than empathy. So Tanya and I are talking, reflecting content means the actual words that she's using, I'm able to reflect that back to her as a mirror. Reflecting meaning goes even deeper. It's when you can say to someone, I'll give you an example. So we're talking and you're talking about a problem. You all do this. And then I can say something like, I think like when you say that, it almost makes me think of I can see that what you're saying is there's a trigger there for you that you get angry whenever. Can you see what I'm doing? It goes deeper. It's extrapolating meaning from something. Almost like you're helping solve something or you're going a little bit deeper. So they're all very valuable, all of these micro-counselling skills. What happens is we can learn to use them in appropriate ways. Okay?